Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now the beginning of October, and with Andor episodes 1 through 5 now out on Disney+, a lot of Star Wars fans are also heavily looking forward to one of the most anticipated Star Wars shows of 2023, that of course being the Ahsoka series. And we've talked about this numerous times of how I believe that Ahsoka is going to be by far the biggest Star Wars show yet, maybe even bigger than The Mandalorian, depending on how it's going to be executed and how the pacing is going to be, and all of the other aspects being thrown into it. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, if there's one thing to say about Lucasfilm right now, is that they are really trying to get pretty much, their heads straight. They're really trying to stay on track, stay on target, and really accomplishing all of their goals. And this is all, by the way, being led by Favreau and Filoni on a course correction to really kind of just establishing the right lore that interests the fans the most. When you look at everything related to The Mandalorian Season 3 and 4 that's being worked on, back to back, by the way, there's a lot of lore that's being poured into that show that's going to connect itself to Ahsoka. But that brings us to another situation right now that's not really on the positive side, but more so on the negative side of things, unfortunately, because of Kathleen Kennedy once again, and how this does involve a specific Star Wars TV series. We'll get into that in just a second. And obviously, whenever it dwindles down to Kathleen Kennedy, you never really, think it's going to be good news. So this is, of course, where it leads all to what's been happening behind the scenes. Now, with both Disney and Lucasfilm now focused on their new Star Wars TV shows and movies with Favreau and Filoni, they are also getting ready to make a series of announcements for the roadmap of the franchise at next year's Celebration event. Now, it's noted that currently Disney CEO Bob Chapek has been making some core changes to the franchise right now. It's described that Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy recently got herself into more trouble with Disney executives for something that she recently did to one of the upcoming Star Wars shows. Now, this is said to have to do with the Acolyte TV show for Star Wars, with Favreau and Filoni now walking away from the Acolyte based on all the help that they offered for the show to change the plot. Kennedy has been taking more control over the series again on a creative scale, and recently deleted and erased many of course, however not all, of the Old Republic flashback scenes that John and Dave had Leslie Headland insert into the show's scripts. I want to pause here quickly for a second before we get to the more involved material. Is that I'm not all that surprised that this is happening right now. I always kind of knew in the back of my head that even though John and Dave and along with Lucas came on board to basically tell Leslie Headland what to put in the script and what not to put in the script for 5 episodes, and the 4 episodes were left to Kathleen Kennedy all on her own with Leslie, and they were basically coming in to fix the wrongs that Kathleen Kennedy and Leslie Headland were doing with the show. Now, they were paid for this, by the way. Disney really, they gave them, full support. They gave them what they needed to take the time and pleasure to fix this show, to propel it in the right path, and they just couldn't deal with it anymore because it was too much drama behind the scenes. There was too many different scenarios happening at one time, and that's exactly why we went over this a couple of days ago, of how Favreau and Filoni decided to leave this Star Wars project and just walk away. They're not going to stick around for filming. They're not going to stick around for post-production. They're going to focus on everything else. And you know what? I think that at the end of the day, it's good for them. It's good for us, the community, because that means we're going to get richer material in different avenues, aka different shows and different projects out there. The only thing is, a lot of people are looking forward to The Acolyte because of what's written on paper. It's about emerging dark side powers, and it's a mystery thriller, and all these different kind of crazy things that really kind of get you excited, to be honest. But when you think about it, it's Kathleen Kennedy, it's Leslie Headland, and that's the story for that. So that brings us to the next big piece here of what's been going on over at Lucasfilm since Favreau and Filoni walked away. Now, they were only helping out, by the way, for about a month and a half, maybe 2 months tops. Now, Kennedy felt that the focus was too spent on flashbacks that was going to drive the story away from the main characters in present time. Disney executives are very furious about these changes, and these are the consequences, by the way, that Kathleen Kennedy recently made since Favreau and Filoni left, and are said to be limiting the budget drastically for the other episodes right now to make the series a lower budget one as a consequence of Kennedy altering with the story and what Disney had hired John and Dave to fix. Kennedy is also erasing more content from the show that will be put into place in the next couple of weeks, and CEO Bob Chapek is also having major problems with all of this and called the shots on limiting the budget for the show as a result of this toward Kennedy. Now, before I move to the next thing here, the next big piece, let's be clear about one thing, is that this show actually got a higher budget for the episodes that Favreau and Filoni were actually helping out with. And now that they're leaving, they're taking that budget down drastically because of what Kathleen Kennedy is doing with what John and Dave helped out with and had Leslie Headland put into the script. And now Disney executives really don't have all that much optimism in the show. They don't have all that much trust in the series, and that's why they're lowering that budget, because in case it's a huge flop when it comes to the ratings, we say ratings because, it's Disney Plus, it's streaming, how many people tune in, how long they actually watch for, stuff around those lines. And they really are just preparing for the worst, because they know, since this is mainly done by Kathleen Kennedy, she has a lot of creative power over the show, pretty much now back to 100%, sadly, just like Skeleton Crew. They're really not all that confident about it. And that's, by the way, why Skeleton Crew also has a lower budget of it being a small-scale series, because Disney executives said, if you want full creative power over this series, you can do that, but we're not going to give you the budget that you need. We're going to limit that. And that's the right call on their part, because to me, higher budget shows need to be shows that are being driven by actual creators with a vision, with a passion, like John and Dave, right? They know their passion. They found their passion even before they were creators for the Star Wars universe. They were fans of the Star Wars universe. And that's why it just works when you watch The Mandalorian, when you watch, those episodes. It just feels like they know what they're talking about, and they do. So, obviously, The Acolyte, I feel it's going to be a very disjointed series, regardless if some of Favreau and Filoni's content or revisions are left in the scripts. I'm sure that some residual stuff will remain, but I don't think that we're going to get the great, fun, juicy stuff in the show that a lot of fans would have loved to have seen. Again, Old Republic, how could you not like that? And she's drastically cutting that out. It just takes us back to what she did with The Rise of Skywalker, with all of those deleted scenes that never really saw the light of day. So, like I say, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about all of this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.